Welcome to all. Myself Dr. Sanjay Agrawal. I am an Associate Professor in Electrical Engineering. Again welcome you on behalf of School of Engineering and Technology. Today I am going to discuss topic that is overview of power distribution system. So first of all we have to understand what is power system. Power system have three components, that is power generation, second is power transmission, and third is power distribution. Power generation means where power is generated, and this power may be generated at thermal power plant, it may be generated at hydropower plant, it may be generated at the nuclear power plant. When power is generated, then second challenge is to transmit the power, and this power can be transmitted with help of the some transmission system. Then it will be discussed later. And when this power is received at substation, so our target is to distribute this power to the consumer side. And then it comes to the picture distribution system. This particular topic comes under the program ACPDM and CCPD program. So the course code that covers this particular course covers two topics, that is a power distribution sector, that code is BEE001. It comes under the program Advanced Certificate in Power Distribution Management, generally it is known as ACPDM, and this particular topic also covers the course that is Power Distribution System Basics, code is OEE002, and this particular course comes under the program Certificate of Competency in Power Distribution Technician, it is known as CCPD. So the topic that I am going to cover in this particular session, we will discuss classification of the power system, means we will understand what is a generation, what is a transmission, what is a distribution. Then we will understand what is the electrical supply system. And this electrical supply system can be understood with help of the typical layout of the electrical power supply system. As you know, the electrical power or the current or voltage that you know, that is a DC or AC. So we have to understand what are the advantages of DC and AC. So means we will compare the DC and AC transmission. As you know, when the power is generated, then it is transmitted, and this power is transmitted at high voltage. So what are the advantages of this high transmission voltage? We will understand in this particular topic, and then you can also understand various systems of the power transmission, and the next topic that will be covered, grid management, that is what is a grid. So first is classification of the power system. So as I already told you that power system can be classified as a generation, transmission and distribution. So what is a generation? Electric power is produced at the power station which are located at favorable places, or you can say the remote area, generally quite away from the consumers. Second is transmission. When power is generated, then it is transmitted over large distance to the load center with the help of the conductor known as a transmission lines, and these conductors may be the ACSR conductor, that is a aluminum conductor, steel reinforced. Then third and last is a distribution. Finally, it is distributed to the large number of small and big consumers through the distribution network. Now, as I already told you that after the transmitting power is received at some point, and that point is called basically substation, as name is indicating substation. So what is a substation? Substation means which are the part of the electricity transmission and distribution system where the voltage are transformed to the lower level for the distributing power to the end user. The way of transmission of electrical power from generating station to the consumer premises is known as electric supply system. Here you can see the block diagram of the electrical power system. Here in the black color you can see the generation, in the blue color it is a transmission, and green color is showing the distribution system. So in black color you can see there is a generating station. This generating station may be the thermal power plant which is operated with where we are using the coal. Another may be the nuclear power plant where primary fuel is used as a nuclear. It may be the hydropower plant. Now this voltage is generated at 11 kV. And suppose we are taking example that any generating station is generating at 110 megawatt power and generating voltage is 11 kV. Now, what is our aim? Our aim is to transmit this generating power to the consumer. How this power will be transmitted? With help of the transmission line. Now, because generating voltage is 11 kV and power is 110 megawatt, so then current is what? Current is equal to P upon V, that is power divided by voltage multiplied by the power factor. So 110 into 10 to the power 6 divided by 11 into 10 to the power 3. So it is coming very high amount of current, right? If you are transmitting same voltage power, so current is very high. If current is very high, then power losses that occurs in the transmission line, that losses is I square R, that losses will be very, very high. So our aim is what? Our aim is to reduce these losses. And how these losses can be reduced? If we are able to convert this 11 kV voltage into very high voltage. So what we will do? We will use generating step-up transformer, where this 11 kV has to be converted either 132 kV or 220 kV or 765 kV, depends on the type of the generating station and amount of the power is being generated from that particular power plant. Now, what is the use of this high voltage transmission? We will discuss later. Now, you have converted this 11 kV into 132 kV or 220 kV or 765 kV. Now this power is transmitted with help of the transmission line. And generally this type of transmission is done with help of 3-phase 3-wire system. Now suppose this power is transmitted up to 3000 kilometer or 2000 kilometer or 1000 kilometer, then power has reached up to substation. Now because you have stepped up the 132 kV or 220 kV, so this voltage cannot be directly used at the consumer side. As you know, as a household supply, the voltage that we get in your house is 220 voltage, or in commercial purpose we use 440 voltage. That means by any means we have to convert this very high voltage, that is 132 kV or 220 kV voltage up to into 400 volt or 230 voltage. So substation will be used. Now again this 132 kV can be converted into 132 can be converted into 33 kV or 11 kV, and then 11 kV again has to be converted into 400 voltage or 230 volt with help of the substation where you will use step down transformer. Again this whatever I have discussed, again it can be understood with help of the single line diagram of the power supply system. Here you can see that is written as GS. GS is nothing but it is generating station. Generating station represents generating station where electric power is produced by 3-phase alternator operating in parallel. The usual generation voltage is 11 kV. For economy in the transmission of the electric power, this transmission voltage 11 kV is stepped up to 132 kV, as I already explained you. Now what is happening? Now this 11 kV is stepped up with the help of the step-up transformer at the generating side. Now this stepped-up voltage is transmitted with help of the transmission line. This type of transmission is called primary transmission. Now power has reached at the some point, or you can say at that particular place, you can understand like this. Suppose power is generated at Dadri power plant, which is around 50 to 60 kilometers from Delhi. Or suppose if you are comparing that this Dadri power plant is transmitting power to Jhansi or to Lucknow, that means this power has to be step up and it is transmitted with transmission line. Now what you have to do, suppose in Delhi, that means that 132 kV has to be converted into 33 kV, and again this 33 kV has to be converted into you can say 11 kV at receiving station. So this type of another conversion from 130 to 33 kV is called secondary transmission. This 33 kV again it has to be converted into 11 kV at the substation, and after that this 11 kV can be converted into 400 voltage, and with help of the again step down transformer, which is located at your colonies, your house, that is called a distribution transformer, and this 400 volt will be converted into 230 voltage and which will be transmitted to the consumer or to the household supply. So this is all about the how the power is transmitted from generating station to the consumer. Now, the transmission of electric power at high voltage has several advantages, including the saving of the conductor material and high transmission efficiency. Now, but because there is some limit how much voltage you can step up. Reason is what? Because there is a limit to which the voltage can be increased. It is because increase in the transmission voltage also introduces insulation problem, as well as the cost of the switch gear and transformer equipment is increased, because in the substation there are number of appliances are being used to transmit this power. You are using the switch gear. Switch gear means generally different type of circuit breaker like vacuum circuit breaker, air circuit breaker, acid circuit breaker. Then you are using the different transformer. You are using here again they are using CT, PT, current transformer, potential. The losses as well as to save the cost of the conductor, but at the same time if you are increasing the voltage, the insulation problem is coming in the picture. That means there will be some optimization between the increased voltage, that means to save the conductor, and to optimize the cost of the switch gear and transformer. So there is a choice of the power transmission voltage is essentially a question of economics, because there is optimization is coming in the picture. Generally the primary transmission is carried at 66 kV, 132 kV, 220 kV or 400 kV. Now this electric supply system can broadly classified into DC or AC system, or again it can be transmitted by the two means. It can be the overhead system that you must have seen the different towers and power is transmitted with some transmission line. That conductor is a CSR conductor. Again this power can be transmitted with help of the underground system, where cable are placed inside of the ground. That is called underground system. Nowadays, 3-phase, 3-wire AC system is universally adopted for generation and transmission of electric power as an economical proposition. 3-phase, 3-wire system means what? That means because the electrical power that is generated at generating station with help of the alternator, that is a 3-phase power, and this 3-phase power is generated by, you are very familiar, RYB, red, yellow and blue, that is a 3-phase wire. So this generating with 3-phase 3-wire system and it is transmitted with 3-phase 3-wire. However, the distribution of electric power is done by 3-phase 4-wire AC system. So which is the fourth wire? Fourth wire is nothing but it is a ground wire which is used for the protection purpose. Now we have to understand what is a substation. You are very familiar with this term, the substation. What is a substation? The substation is nothing but it is an assembly of the apparatus used to change some characteristic of this electrical supply. And what are those characteristics? Characteristic of the supply may be the voltage. That means either you have to step up the voltage or you have to step down the voltage, and you have to convert either AC into DC or DC into AC. Again, you have to control the frequency also. You know the frequency that generated at generating station in India is 50 Hertz. In some countries have some another frequency, like in USA, the frequency that is used, that is 60 Hertz. And you have to also control the power factor. So power factor is nothing but it is a cosine angle between voltage and current. So because power is denoted as, power is nothing but it is a product of voltage and current and power factor. So if you want to transmit or you want to receive the maximum power, that means what is your aim? This power factor should be maximum. And what can be the maximum power factor? It will be the maximum power factor is equal to 1. And 1 is the ideal power factor. That means if all loads are the resistive loaded, then power factor may be the only one. Because all the electrical appliances that you are using in your home, that is not a purely resistive of nature. It is inductive in nature, not purely inductive. It is mix of the induction and captive and resistance. So our aim is to increase the power factor. And how this power can be improved? This power factor can be improved by the power factor correction mechanism. So this power factor correction mechanism are also used at substation. So substation is a meeting point between the transmission grid and the distribution feeder system. Typically, a substation consists of a high and low voltage buses for the power flow, circuit breaker at transmission and distribution level. As I already told you, there are different types of circuit breaker may be used. It depends on the how much voltage you are using at that substation. Like you can use the vacuum circuit breaker, you can use SF6 circuit breaker. Again, there are some another instruments that are used at substation, that is called metering equipment and the control house, where the relaying measurement and control equipment are located. Because you are the metering, that means you have to measure the value of the voltage, you have to measure the value of the current. How this voltage and current can be measured? Suppose you want to measure the 765 voltage, which it is very tough to measure the voltage. That 765 voltage directly cannot be measured with the help of the voltmeter and instrument. That means there should be some mechanism which 765 or 400 kV is to be converted into the lower voltage. So to convert this high voltage and high current into the lower quantity, there are some instrument transformer will be used. That what are those instrument transformer? That instrument transformer is CT, that is a current transformer, and potential transformer. But most important substation equipment that gives the substation is capacity rating is the substation transformer. Any substation which has mainly costly part, that costly equipment or appliances, that is a transformer. Substation has other equipment such as lightning arrestor, isolator. So as power is transmitted with help of the transmission line, and as power is coming to the substation, so first equipment that is used, that is a lightning arrestor. And after the lightning arrestor, another equipment, that is a isolator. And after the isolator, circuit breaker, then different measuring equipment like CT, PT and all this will be used at substation. Now there are different terminology that we have to understand. What is a grid substation? What the grid substation means, power from transmission network is delivered to sub-transmission network after stepping down voltage to 66 kV or 33 kV through 220 or 132 or 66 or 33 kV grid substation. The second term, that is called sub-transmission. Network power is carried at 66 or 33 kV by overhead line or underground cables. The next term is a power sub-transmission. In power sub-transmission, what happens? Power is stepped down by 66 or 33 or 11 kV to 11 kV for distribution purpose. Then another term is coming, primary distribution feeder. In primary distribution feeder, what is done? Here power is delivered from the power sub-transmission through the primary feeder at 11 or 6.6 kV to various distribution transformer. Now, in the beginning, I have told you that when power is generated at generating station, that is 11 kV. And this 11 kV voltage is stepped up with help of the step up transformer to transmit the power. So now we have to understand why voltage is stepped up or why high voltage is used for the transmission purpose. What are the advantages of this high transmission voltage? So as you know, the power for the three-phase power, the power can be written as P equal to root 3 VI cos phi, where V is what? V is the line voltage and I is load current, or you can say the line current. So P is equal to what? Root 3 VI cos phi. So now because we have to see what are the advantages. So with this formula you can also written I is equal to what? P upon root 3 B cos phi. So because you are using the three-phase, three-wire system, right? So resistance, because we have to see the how much losses you are able to reduce with the high voltage. So losses is equal to what? I square R, because you are talking about the 3-phase 3-wire. So total power loss is equal to what? 3I square R. So this 3I square R, and R can be replaced with the formula, as you know, R is equal to rho L upon A. L is the length of the conductor, A is a cross-sectional area of the conductor, So total power loss W can be written as 3I square R. Just put the value I equal to P upon root 3B cos phi, and R is equal to rho L upon A. So what you will get? Total loss W is equal to P square rho L upon B square cos square phi A. So here you can see, because this power is fixed, every generating power station has a fixed generating capacity. This power plant may be the capacity of the 110 megawatt or 220 megawatt or 440 megawatt, it depends, right? So suppose I am talking about the 110 megawatt power generation. So this P is fixed, rho is fixed, length of that transmission line is fixed, cos square phi, I am assuming that power is transmitted at 0.8 power factor, and area is also fixed. So here you can see this total power loss is inversely proportional to the square of the transmission voltage. That means if that voltage is very high, so power losses is very less, because it is directly inversely proportional. That means if this voltage is high, so total power losses in transmission loss is very high. So our aim is to what? We have to reduce the transmission losses. What are the different losses other than this resistive losses? It will be discussed in the next lectures. Here just you have to understand that main losses that occurs in the transmission line is resistive losses, and that is the I square R. So with increasing the high voltage, we are able to reduce the total power losses. Another thing that you can understand, because R is equal to rho L upon A, so A can be written as rho L upon R. So just put the value of this R and rho and L. So here you can see A is again square of inversely proportional of the square of the transmitting voltage. So what you are observing, or what you can conclude here, that means area of cross section is inversely proportional to the square of the transmitting voltage. That means if transmitting voltage is very high, that means area of cross section is very less. That means whatever the conductor which is being used to transmit the power, that is a ACSR conductor, if you are using the less cross section area of the conductor, that means the total volume of the conductor material is required is less. If volume of the conductor material required is less, that means whatever the, because every material, if volume of the conductor required less, that means you are investing less money to purchase this type of material. That means by increasing the high voltage, you are able to reduce the area of the cross section, you are able to reduce the volume of the conductor material, you are able to reduce the cost of the material required. That means first that thing we have understood. That means if you are transmitting the voltage at high voltage, you can save the area of the cross section, you can save the volume of the conductor material required, at the same time you can save the money also. Now at the same time, what will happen, because area of the cross section is reduced, that means total weight of the conductor has also required is also very less. If weight of the conductor required is less, that means because you are this transmission conductor is placed on the tower, that means this tower should have highest good mechanical strength. That means weight is less, that means this mechanical strength of the tower can be the less. If mechanical strength of the tower is less, that means again cost of this tower may be the less. So conclusion is what? Conclusion is, if you are transmitting this power at high voltage, you are able to reduce the weight of the conductor, you are able to save the cost of the tower, you are able to save the cost of the this conductor. Now we have to understand, because you are reducing the losses. So generally, simply, efficiency is equal to what? Efficiency is nothing but it is the output upon input. Now we are talking about the efficiency of what? Transmission. What is the efficiency of the transmission? So transmission efficiency can be written as output power to the input power, and output power is what? Whatever the power that you are receiving at point or at the consumer side. So we are assuming that output power is P, right? So input power is what? Input power is equal to what? Output power plus losses, or you can say input power minus losses. So this can be written as transmission efficiency is equal to output upon input power, and here you can see this transmission efficiency can be mathematically you can understand 1 minus root 3 j rho L upon V cos phi. Again here you can see the second term, that 1 minus root 3. So here, because it is in denominator, if V is very high, so this total part, second part is less. If second part is less, that means 1 minus, and this second part is high. That means if you are transmitting that power at high voltage, so transmission efficiency will also be high. Again, line drop is equal to IR, because, and R is equal to what? Rho L upon A. So percentage line drop can be written as J rho L upon V. So this percentage line drop is inversely proportional to the transmitting voltage. So again it is inversely proportional. That means if this voltage is high, so percentage line drop is also less. So what are the main advantages of transmission at high voltage? Transmission efficiency is more, percentage line drop is less, cost of the conductor is less, cost of the tower is less, weight of the conductor is less. So all these are the advantages if you are transmitting the transmission at very high voltage. Now, as I already told you that transmission may be of two types. One is a DC transmission, another is AC transmission. DC means direct current, AC is alternating current. Very familiar word, all of you know. So in DC transmission, as you know, there is only two wire, plus and negative, generally it is denoted. So only two and we are comparing this AC and transmission. If you are putting some parameter constant for both the system, like power is constant, length of the conductor is same. So then we are comparing this DC transmission and AC transmission. So in DC transmission only two conductors are required, and in AC transmission three conductors are required, RYB. So here you can see two conductors are required. That means of course cost of the conductor is less. In three conductor means three conductors are used, so cost is more. In DC what happens? In DC, there is no effect of inductance and capacitance. Inductance means XL is equal to omega L, and omega L is equal to what? 2 pi FL. As you know, frequency of DC is 0, so this XL is 0. So there is no effect of inductance, there is no effect of capacitance. So whatever the voltage drop that occurring in the transmission line, suppose we are talking about the AC, so that voltage drop happens due to the resistance of the wire, due to the inductive effect of the wire, due to the capacitive effect of the wire. So in DC what is happening? There is no inductance, no capacitance. If there is no inductance, there is no capacitance, that means voltage drop due to the inductance, that is I into XL is 0. If there is no capacitance, the voltage drop due to the capacitance, that can be written as IXC, where I is the transmitting current, IXC is 0. So whatever the voltage drop that is occurring only due to the resistance, that is IR. But in case of AC, what is happening? There is the effect of the inductance, there is the effect of capacitance, there may be the phase displacement, there may be the surge problem. And in DC, less voltage drop, as I already told you. In case of AC, more voltage drop and poor voltage regulation. Because there is a more voltage drop, that means receiving end voltage is less than the sending end voltage. If this receiving end voltage is less than the sending end voltage, that means voltage regulation is very poor if you are comparing with the DC transmission. In DC transmission, less corona losses. In AC transmission, more corona losses. So we will understand what is the corona losses. I am not going in the detail right now how this corona losses occur. This corona losses basically occurs due to the ionization of the air between the conductor. In AC, what happens if there is a high voltage is transmitted? So because you know air also work as a dielectric, so between the two wire this air works as a dielectric, so there is a charging current start to flow. If this charging current start to flow, so there will be some voltage between these two conductor. So there will be some, you must have seen if you are passing under the high transmission line, there is a hissing noise and there is a some glow also occur, and this occurs due to the corona losses. So right now I am just saying that in transmission there is a less corona losses, and in AC transmission there is a more corona losses. In DC transmission, what are the disadvantage of the DC transmission? Because I already told you there is a very advantage if you are transmitting at high voltage, but in case of DC you cannot step up the voltage because transformer, what we know, the transformer work on the AC. So AC transformer can step up the voltage for only the AC voltage. And if you want to step up the DC voltage, so this transformer cannot do this, cannot solve this purpose. Some DC can be stepped up with help of the chopper, but that is a low voltage. Another disadvantage, the DC switches and circuit breaker have their own limitation, and in case of AC, the maintenance of the AC substation is easy and cheaper. Now we have to understand what are the various systems of the power transmission. This transmission may be done with the help of the DC system, and this DC system can again be classified as DC two-wire system, DC two-wire with midpoint earth, and single-phase AC system. And this single-phase AC system can again be classified single-phase two-wire system, single-phase two-wire with midpoint earth, and single-phase three-wire system. And another transmission may be the two-phase AC system. It can again be classified two-phase four-wire, two-phase three-wire, and whatever the main transmission system is used, that is called three-phase AC system. And this three-phase AC transmission can again be classified as three-phase three-wire system, three-phase four-wire system. So this three-phase three-wire system is used for the transmission, and three-phase four-wire is used for the distribution network. Just here I am showing the glimpse how you can compare all these type of system. Just here I am giving one example. Here you can see the DC two-wire system, as you know, and I am assuming that this transmitting voltage is maximum voltage, that is V suffix M. So maximum voltage between conductor is V suffix M. Power to be transmitted is P, as you know, because it is DC, so there is no power factor. So current is equal to what? I is equal to P upon V suffix M. So resistance can be denoted as R1 is equal to rho L upon A. We are assuming that A1 is the cross-sectional area of the conductor of in DC two-wire system. So losses is equal to what? I square R, because two wire are used, that means it will be the 2 times. So W is equal to 2I1 square R1. So it can be written as, again you can write A1 is equal to, with the help of this formula, A1 is equal to 2P square rho L upon W Vm, where this is W is a loss. So volume of the conductor material can be calculated by this formula, and whatever the quantity is coming, it can be denoted at K, because I have to compare this DC two-wire with three-phase three-wire system. So this 4P square rho L square upon W Vm square can be written as K. Here you can see this three-phase three-wire system, right? Because here you are using the three-wire system. So losses is equal to what? W is equal to 3I square R, right? Because there is three wire are using. So, and if you are putting, and here in case of DC, power was equal to voltage multiplied by current. But in case of AC, current is equal to what? P is equal to root 3 BL I cos phi. If you want to calculate the current, so I can be written as, because we are talking the per phase power. So per phase current I1 can be written as power can be divided by 3, because I am assuming that it is a balanced load. Balanced load means all these three phases have equal load. So this I can be written as P upon 3 in numerator, and denominator Vm upon 2, because that Vm is a maximum voltage, you are dividing by root 2 to convert into the RMS voltage. So it will come root 2 P upon 3 Vm cos phi. So here you can say area of cross section A is equal to what? 2 P square rho L upon 3 W Vm square cos square phi. So volume of the conductor required is equal to what? If you are putting all this quantity in this formula, and because we are assuming K is equal to in the previous slide, K equal to 4P square rho L square upon WVM square. So this is coming 0.5 K upon cos square phi. So my conclusion is what? If you are comparing these two transmission system, DC 2-wire system and 3-phase 3-wire system, so if you are transmitting same power with 3-phase 3-wire system, so it is, you can say 0.5 upon cos square phi times if you are transmitting the power by DC 2-wire system. So it is 0.5, and we can take cos phi is equal to 0.8, and 0.8 square means 0.64. So it will become nearly, that means of course this value will be the less than the DC 2-wire system. That means if you are transmitting same amount of power with 3-phase 3-wire system, that means you are able to save the volume of the conductor material required. If you are able to save the volume of the conductor material required, that means cost of the conductor material is less. That means it is very economical. If you are transmitting 3-phase 3-wire system, that means AC transmission is advantageous in terms of money, in terms of the weight of the conductor, in terms of the volume of the conductor material required. Similarly, you can compare any type of the mechanism by which you want to transmit the power. Now the term is coming grid. Very familiar term. You must have heard grid has been failed, grid has failed, grid may be failed. So what is grid? So you know that a power system has a generating unit to generate electrical energy from the different power plant, maybe the nuclear power plant, maybe the thermal power plant, hydropower plant, from the solar power plant, wind power plant, which is consumed at the load. That means power is transmitted at generating station, which is placed at the remote area, which is far away from the consumer side, and it is used at the load side, and this load center may be the very far from the generating station, maybe the far from 1000 kilometer, maybe far around 2000 kilometer. Now what happens? This energy cannot be stored. Whatever the power is being generated at a station, that AC power cannot be stored. That means whatever the power is being generated, it should be used by the consumer. Suppose 110 megawatt power is being generated at generating station, but consumer are using only 80 megawatt power. That means you don't have any such mechanism that you can save this 30 megawatt power. So what you will do? So to solve this problem, grid will come in the picture. How grid will work, you will be able to understand after 1 or 2 slides. But since the load is not concentrated at one place, and in most cases it is not possible to have generator very close to the load center at all times, we go for the transmission line, which facilitate transmission of the power from generator to the load. To provide redundancy, the transmission line are also interconnected. That means suppose there is a 3 or 4 power plant, it may be the thermal, maybe the nuclear. So these all power plants are interconnected. And so all generation unit and load center are connected, and as a result it forms a grid. So grid is nothing but it is an interconnection of the different types of the power plant, it is interconnection of the different transmission line, interconnection of the distribution. So all interconnection of all this power plant transmission line is called grid. The grid is basically a connection of generating stations, it may be any type of generating station, substation, and loads to the transmission line at a voltage level above the distribution voltage. The distribution voltage, however, is not strictly defined. Now, this Electricity Act 2003 also defined the proper definition of the grid. So, as per Electricity Act 2003, grid is defined as the high voltage backbone system of interconnected transmission lines, substation, and generating plant. So, this is a grid. Here you can see, you can again see the understand the how grid work. So, here you can see there is a 600 megawatt coal power plant, nuclear power plant, hydro power plant, which have very extra high voltage transmission, maybe of the 400 kV or maybe the 765 kV plant. All these are interconnected, and there may be some power plant, just suppose there is some factory or industry which have their own small power plant that use some electrical power for their own purpose. If this power demand is less in comparison to the generating, then this extra power can be transmitted to the grid. So that means this is again connected to the grid. And you must have also heard that every institution, every university, every college now are going to install the solar power plant. So suppose you are installing 2 megawatt solar power plant, and your load that is being used in your university is suppose 1.5 megawatt only. That means extra 0.5 megawatt can be supplied to the grid, and suppose your demand is increasing more than 2 megawatt. So that means you need extra power from somewhere, and from where that extra power can be this extra power can be extract from the grid. So beauty of grid is what? That means it depends on the demand and supply. If supply is more, demand is less, right? That means this extra supply can be transmitted to the another load. That means it can be transmitted to the another station. Suppose you can again understand like this. Suppose in Dadri power plant generating 110 megawatt power, and for the Delhi there is only one thermal power plant which is connected to the Dadri power plant. So what will happen? Suppose by any means this Dadri power plant trips and that power plant is not able to generate the electricity, then what will happen? So blackout will be there. That means you will not able to get the electrical power. So now if it is connected to the grid, then what will happen? During this power cut, which is supply was coming from the Dadri power plant, now you are not able to get power plant from the Dadri, then this power can be taken from the another thermal power plant or from the another type of the power plant which is located in another state. That means power failure will not be there. That means you will get the continuous supply. So this is the beauty of the power plant. So grid is what? If you want to define in one or two line, grid is nothing. It is a interconnection of different type of power plant, maybe the thermal power plant, nuclear power plant, maybe the wind power system, solar power plant, hydroelectricity, and all thermal power plant are connected in state, so it will be called state grid. If all states are connected in some points, it will be called national grid. So this is all about the grid. Now what is the advantage of grid? So advantage of grid is what? First advantage is reliability. Reliability means what? The system is more reliable since we can serve the load in more than one ways. As a result, even if one generation unit fails, the rest can share the load. As I already given the example of the Dadri power plant. Second advantage is what? Stability. Stability is a very important factor for the grid. The system becomes more stable as changes of the fault disturbing the whole system becomes less. So it is more stable if all power plants are connected to the grid. Another and most important advantage is economy. In a grid, the cost required is lesser than a dedicated system since lesser installed capacity is required as well as lesser spinning reserve is involved. Now I am going to conclude my lecture. So, what are the objective of the grid management? The objective of grid management is what? Reliability, as already told you. So, reliability comes with the integrated grid operation for the smooth evacuation of the power from the generating station and its delivery at the state's periphery. And second objective is what? Second objective is grid security. Security is very important term that you have to understand. Security comes by the maintaining the system parameter. And what are those system parameter? System parameters like frequency. That means frequency should be constant. Throughout the India, this frequency should be 50 Hz. If frequency is disturbing, that means harmonics are coming in the picture. If harmonics are coming in the picture, that means quality of the power that you are receiving at receiving end station or at the consumer side, power quality is very poor. Due to this, appliances may be the damage. And another parameters is what? Bus voltage, it should be constant, line loading and transformer loading within permissible limit. It involves a stable and smooth operation of the grid, that is minimum interruption of power, either through tripping of the single grid element. And third objective of this grid management is economy. Economy comes by merit order generation, optimization of the hydro resources. That means suppose load is increasing or decreasing, so this extra power can be given with a small power generation unit, like extra power can be given with the hydro power plant or with help of the solar power plant, with minimization of the losses and judicious inter-regional exchanges. It expects getting the cheapest power to the consumer through the minimization of the transmission losses. And what are those transmission losses? That is I square R losses that occurs due to the transmission line, due to the inductive, because if AC power is transmitted, that means there is some inductance comes in the picture. If inductance comes in the picture, due to the inductance there is a inductive losses, that is I axial losses comes in the picture. And if your AC power is transmitted, that means some charging current start to flow between the conductor to conductor or between one conductor and the ground, because as I already told you that if they suppose this is a one conductor and it is a ground or it is a wire, so there is a air between the conductor. So if the air is what? Air is a dielectric. If there is, so it can be understood like a capacitor. What is a capacitance? Capacitance is generally, it is denoted by two plate. Between two plate there is a capacitance. So line is a one plate, ground can be understood as a second plate, or another wire can be understood in the second plate. So between these two wire or between one wire and ground, charging current will start to flow, and this charging current start to flow, that means that can be denoted as I suffix C. Now capacitance is coming, that is I XC. So due to this current IC multiplied by XC, this IXC, so there will be a voltage drop. Then the next costly generation and so on. So economy is the main objective of this grid management system. Another objective of this grid management is quality in electric supply. That means whatever the power is being transmitted to the consumer or to the any industry, that quality of the power should be very good. Quality in electric supply is facilitated by the inertia of a large grid, which is smoothed over the variation in frequency and power due to sudden changes in the load. Good power quality can be defined as a steady supply voltage that stays within the prescribed range, steady AC frequency, close to the rated voltage, and a smooth voltage curve waveform, which resembles as a sine wave. That means if you are able to get the proper sine wave electrical power, that means quality of that power is very good. So in this particular lecture, we have discussed about how the power is transmitted, why the power is transmitted at high voltage, and what are the different advantage of if you are transmission is done at high voltage. Then we have also understood what is the grid management, what is the advantage of grid management, and what are the objective of this grid. So in the next lecture we will discuss some another point like how the transmission is line designed, what are the main components of the transmission line, that means what type of the conductors are used to transmit, like we will see the type of the insulator, type of the tower. All these type of discussion will be occur in the next lecture. Thank you very much. If you have any query, please write the mail at sanjay.agarwal@igno.ac.in. Thank you very much.